Hello, and welcome to another episode of It's Live, the one and only show for discovering the latest Dell devices and products from the experts themselves here at Dell. Now, as the name implies, we are in fact live, which means anything can happen and probably will. So, now, I'm Joe Hayes, Senior Consultant of Client Product Marketing, and joining me is my colleague and ultimate co-host, Kristen Hoover, Product Marketing Consultant. Hey there, Kristen.
Hey, Joe. Ultimate co-host. I like the sound of that.
That's code for you do all the work.
Oh, all right. Well, I'm going to definitely add it to my job title.
Good. I'll give you a LinkedIn endorsement. So.
Okay.
But now I have a question for you. Have you ever played with Legos?
Oh, have I? Is this like past tense or I kind of have to admit I'm still an avid Lego builder. Check out this Y-wing that I stole off of Billy's desk.
Awesome.
Okay.
Good work, Billy. So now, if you love to build, then you're going to love today's episode. It's all about how Dell is helping advance technology in the construction industry.
All right, well, that's very exciting. I can't wait. So we've actually done quite a few really cool shows this season, which you can watch by logging into the portal where you joined today and just choose the on-demand feature.
All right, now I don't mean to one-up Billy, but I did build the Death Star 2 Lego set, all 3,417 pieces of it, and actually did it twice because I broke it when I moved. But that, I'm sure our guests will say, is nothing compared to the architectural design features that we're going to talk about today.
All right, so will we be talking about AR, VR, and 3D modeling?
You got it, all the letters.
All right.
Plus, we'll discuss how Dell helps users in the office and out in the field to build more accurate plans, buildings, and infrastructure.
All right, well, then what are we waiting for? Let's get this party started.
All right, let's go. All right, a successful construction project starts with a solid foundation, get it? And in many ways, the technology to do that work is the same. From the manual drafting techniques dating back to 3000 BC to electromagnetic distance measurement, LiDAR, and GPS, all the way to today's reality capture capabilities. Each generation of engineers, builders, and architects has built off the tools that came before them. So, with more on that evolution and the type of technology being used today is Ken Flanagan, Director of AEC Alliances and Solutions here at Dell. Ken, welcome to It's Live.
I'm thrilled to be here, Joe. As you know, I love talking about the industry and how Dell is helping advance its workflow. It's super fun, really exciting for me.
It is. And I think your enthusiasm is really going to help me and all our viewers understand more about the modern tools being used in this industry and Dell's role in all of it. So could you give us a rundown of what's being used in the construction industry today?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of technology. We probably don't even have the time for all of it, but you gave a quick history of the technology in the industry over 3000 BC in the last 3,000 years or 5,000 years. But if we just look back at the last 25 years, the industry is adopting 3D tools all across the board for all its workflows.
And that's really about that's around modeling, right?
Yeah, it's called Building Information Modeling or BIM. It's a term that was coined in the early 2000s, and it describes a process where these data-rich 3D models are used to not just directly extract the drawings, but also there's a whole process around leveraging the connected data through the entire life cycle of the building.
And so introducing BIM was a significant change and really made a big impact on workers' processes, I'm sure, right?
Oh yeah, without a doubt, it impacts everybody, all the stakeholders. Everyone is really sharing these 3D virtual models and collaborating together.
And all of these project stakeholders, really the reason they're doing this, the reason they're using BIM is to improve the project outcomes. Is that right?
Yeah, it's a digital asset. It improves the project predictability, but it also opens up these new opportunities for productivity and straight up revenue growth.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the BIM process a little. Where does it begin?
Well, it really starts with reality capture, right? So it's how the real world around us can be captured digitally so that that virtual design and construction process can begin. It also happens to be the fastest growing technology in the construction industry today.
Wow. And the way I understand it, reality capture is actually a combination of several different technologies, right? It's not one thing.
Yeah, that's right. Reality captures this umbrella term. It includes things like LiDAR, which you mentioned earlier, photogrammetry, mobile mapping, SLAM technology, point clouds. It's a lot of different technology.
Wow. I hear the kids love to post on photogrammetry. That's the hot new app, right?
Yeah,
But,
heard that
so
too.
really, I'm not an engineer, obviously. So can you explain some of those terms to me, at least, and
Yeah,
some of our
I'll do
viewers?
my best. So LiDAR stands for light detection and ranging, and it gives users the highest level of accuracy where individual scans are capturing kind of line of sight. It's the most common form of reality capture used in construction today. Then you have photogrammetry. Photogrammetry is where photos are used to measure. It's a lower accuracy than LiDAR. Mobile mapping, it uses a combination of SLAM or simultaneous localization and mapping and LiDAR, and it's primarily used for building interior capture. So you see these guys walking around with these machines, or they even have like whole setups where the scanners are up on top above your head. The end result is a point cloud. With all these 3D scans and mobile mapping, all of these multiple captures are stitched together into a single huge data set called a point cloud. Did that help?
For sure. Next time, maybe you should wear the apparatus there, though. That would help illuminate it for me probably better. But now later in the show, we're going to talk about Dell devices in the field. But let's talk about the office or the job site work trailer. What devices or workstations would I find if I went out there?
Yeah, that would be the Precision 7000 series mobile workstations. It gives the on-site users the exceptional level of performance, power the CPU and GPU intensive applications, along with enterprise-grade components, including 12th gen Intel Core processors, NVIDIA Pro graphics cards, and advanced thermal designs to keep it running at peak performance. Plus the mission-critical tools to reduce memory-related errors and blue screens.
Now the Precision 7000's ability to efficiently process these shared data-rich information during a construction project is probably really critical to these users, right?
Yeah, it's really important for the construction planners that have to deal with point clouds and models from all these different sources, all these different contributors, especially as more scanning is done and more detailed models are created, both subjects we're going to talk about today.
And with all of these new technologies, how does the Precision handle these emerging technologies?
Well, the 7000 series mobiles are fully equipped. They're equipped for reality capture, AR, VR in 90 frames per second, all kind of the modern BIM processes that we see our customers running. It also secures your device and data with a variety of security solutions. Dell Safeguard and Response, Dell Safe Data, Dell Safe ID, Safe BIOS, Dell Safe Screen. I brought a clip, I think, that illustrates what I mean.
Great.
True power is not only about high performance and technological innovations. It's about the ability to make a difference. Break design and mission boundaries with ultra-scalable mobile workstations. Invent life-saving technology by mining massive data sets. Predict what might happen next using every reality. The Precision 7000 series mobile workstations do more than deliver high performance. They put power behind your purpose.
All right, I'm sold. I can see why you recommend the 7000 series there, Ken. That its ability to handle heavy data sets, to render 3D, AR, VR models make it a great device to have on a construction site. And also it's made sustainably with reclaimed carbon fiber and renewable bioplastic, right?
Yeah, and that's another kind of key important benefit of BIM is it can help a project become more sustainable. When you produce more precise and detailed models, that can mean better planning. And when you do that, that means less material waste, less rework, and in essence, less waste ending up in landfills. It starts with reality capture, though, so that that real world condition can actually be reliably planned around.
Really a lot of benefits to reality capture there. And some of the research that we did for today's show, I noticed that its popularity is really growing in a lot of different industries outside of construction, like infrastructure, manufacturing, energy, mining, law enforcement.
Yeah, it really is. That the 3D scanning market is growing 22% year over year. It's expected to reach 4.69 billion by the end of 2026. And the reason is pretty simple.
And why would that be?
While the actual devices that the capture is using, they're cheaper and they're faster than they've ever been. And that means, well, it's great that they're cheaper and faster, but that means that users have to be able to process and interact with more data than they've ever had to interact with before. And without the right setup, it'll dramatically increase that import and analysis time, which ultimately can delay your time to action. And that's the goal with reality capture, time to action.
Okay, but they need better hardware.
Yeah, they need the right hardware, right? Because even with this new generation of cheaper and faster scanning devices, users should be able to work faster on the job site, right? Validating the detailed planning that goes on in these modern kind of virtual design and construction processes.
And how so?
Well, think about like prefabrication or offsite assembly, right? If those things are going to be achieved, what is planned and fabricated in the office and in the factory has to be validated and executed in the field, or else it just doesn't work. This can also, very, very importantly, lead to an increase in safety. Safety is the top priority in the building industry.
I mean, safety, I'm sure, obviously, is very important in this type of work. You've got to be really precise in your measurements and design. So not just for the people working on the project, but those utilizing the space after it's been built.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more.
Okay, now let's dig a little deeper into reality capture. How would you summarize reality capture in one sentence?
Well, in short, reality capture involves scanning a physical space for accurate as-built documentation, or as kind of a starting point for renovation projects and historical preservation projects, resulting ultimately, no matter how you use it, in these massive 3D data sets.
Okay, great. Well said, short and sweet. And let's talk about, though, how reality capture can be used.
Yeah, so let's look at the whole project lifecycle. Reality capture actually fits in more and more of these stages of a building design and construction. From early design, you have these AI-assisted design tools where it allows for thousands of iterations measured against one another to make the best design decisions as early as possible, when those decisions are still pretty inexpensive to make. You can then move on to design development. Usually you're going to recognize this as the need for photorealistic renderings to sell that concept. And reality capture is even making its way into those project visualizations. After that, you get into construction documentation. This is where the design engineers and architects really make their money. Documents still have to be created for permitting and regulatory compliance. And that can really bog down productivity as more and more people in detail are added to the model. Then you follow that with this kind of pre-construction planning phase.
Oh, I bet you that is where some real money can get saved.
It absolutely can. And that's kind of the goal of it. This phase is where all those project tradespeople share and compare models that are then used for fabrication before you actually move into the field, or construction management, which involves a ton of communication to assure everything that was planned virtually is executed on site.
The kind of the digital version of measure twice, cut once.
Right, of course. And then finally, facility management, where these models are turned over to the owner or the operator. And it has all this integrated warranty data, maintenance data, IoT sensor data that you're interacting with kind of in context of the building.
Okay. And at the top of the show, I highlighted the foundation on which the construction industry has built its technology off of, 2D modeling to today to reality capture. And now it's really changing the game for the industry, and the Precision 7000 series helps bring that game-changing technology to a user's workspace. You recently introduced me to a friend of yours who's using Precision, though, as well as other Dell products to bring his designs to life.
Yeah, that's right. That would be Dan Stein, the legend, so to speak. But he's an architect who's been using BIM to a real extreme degree. Him and his firm are modeling things that people don't always think to model, and they're doing it on a large scale and having some incredible success with it.
Very cool. Kristen's going to talk to him in just a minute about the work he's doing. But before that, Ken, thank you for taking the time to chat and give us all some really great insights into how reality capture technology is leading the digital transformation of the construction industry.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. Thanks for giving me the opportunity, space to do it. It was my pleasure.
Thanks. All right, so now let's send things over to Kristen, and she's going to talk to Dan to learn more about how he's using Dell products and building information modeling, BIM, to create value for his clients with more detailed models.
All right, thanks, Joe. All right, I am really excited to have Dan Stein, Director of Design Technology at Flato Architects, here today to talk about his work and how Dell has helped push the boundaries of what's possible. Dan, welcome to It's Live. I'm really excited to have you.
Hey, Kristen, thanks. Glad to be here.
All right, so Ken and Joe just talked a little bit about what you do, but I was wondering if we could start by talking about your background.
Sure. As you said, I'm the Director of Design Technology at my firm, Flato Architects. But I'm also an educator. I've taught for 12 years at a technical college in Minnesota, and I'm in my 9th year of teaching graduate architecture students at NDSU.
And you have written several books, somewhere in the neighborhood of what, 13, 14, 15, on that exact subject, right?
Exactly right, textbooks. I'm in the process of finalizing yet another one.
All right, well, that's awesome. So let's talk about modeling, because you're a bit of an expert. What was it like doing that kind of work a decade ago versus now?
Yeah, I would say quite a bit has changed, not only on the architectural side, but also with building systems.
So what exactly has changed?
So 10 years ago, Autodesk Revit MEP, a BIM software for designing complex systems, was just coming out. The ability to model ductwork and piping prior to that in Revit was fairly uncommon. Now we have this incredible extra layer of building systems that's integrated into the workflow that allows us to coordinate better with structure, architecture, and interiors.
So that's really part of this idea that the technology has advanced so much in those 10 years that you can actually model more than you ever thought possible, right?
Right. In fact, we're using this model more technique on our own office space.
All right. Well, I was actually just about to ask you if you could share any of the work that you're doing. So tell me more about what it's been like taking that process in-house to design a space you'll be actually working in.
Sure. Yeah, the design of our own office was actually born out of the pandemic. Everybody was working from home, and we set everyone up with the technology and gear they needed to do that. But it had us rethink our own physical space.
So in what ways?
Well, I brought some renderings to show while I tell you.
All right, great. I'd love to actually take a bit of a tour through your space.
Awesome. So in this 3-story office building that we're remodeling, there's actually not enough desks for people. We're embracing the hybrid work environment and trying to elevate it as a design firm. So every desk is considered a checkout desk.
Okay. So I've actually heard the term hot desking. Is checkout desk something similar?
Yeah, it's basically the same thing. So the way the checkout system works is you can see the available desks in the office in 3D on an app on your phone. These desks are highlighted while occupied desks show a person's name of who's sitting at the desk. And then it also ties into Outlook. And if no desks are open, we have several collaboration and privacy rooms available, including a nice outdoor courtyard.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. So I assume the devices are using Wi-Fi in the collaboration spaces. Does that affect performance?
Well, actually, funny story. None of the desks I just mentioned have network cables going to them. Everything is all Wi-Fi 6.
All right, well, yeah, that's really interesting. And Wi-Fi 6 does really provide a strong connection. A lot of Dell workstations have Wi-Fi 6 connectivity already built in.
Right, it does provide great connection, and it also allows our designers to do their work uninterrupted.
So speaking of your designers, do they model more so they can visualize more, or do they model the same amount? I guess it's kind of like what came first, the chicken or the egg?
Yeah, I like that. But there are two things that are really compelling, actually, when it comes to modeling more. The first one is the advent of Enscape. It's a real-time rendering and virtual reality software. It encourages you to model and visualize way more like stuff, like cars and coffee cups and books and pencils, you name it, to scale with your design and give it a more lived-in, real-world feel.
That's really cool. So what's the second thing?
That would be our energy modeling workflow, which uses Autodesk Insight.
So what's a project using this technology usually go through in your firm?
Yeah, well, we start with massing, and it's already doing a fairly advanced energy modeling exercise against that massing. And then we model more as we develop the Revit model and begin to visualize that with real-time rendering and Enscape. This enables VR, where powerful GPUs are important. And then finally, we often host the model in the cloud, where we'll use it all the way through construction documents, or all the way through construction.
Yeah, so those are some pretty data-heavy workflows. I'd want some serious hardware to help me manage all of that.
Right, you definitely need first a powerful CPU, because that's essentially the workhorse of modeling. The most important parameter is the clock speed. The higher, the better.
All right, so Intel's latest generation of CPU architecture is really designed to optimize both clock speed and core usage.
Right, which is great because modeling in CAD and BIM applications primarily make use of a single core. That said, the number of cores is increasingly an important factor, as modeling software relies on multi-threading and multiple cores for a growing number of operations. And more cores usually mean more cache, which can add more performance boost to operations. Hashtag model more.
All right, so now I'm thinking back to what you were talking about earlier about being able to model more things like cars and trees, et cetera. So something so detailed needs more of that core performance to design and to model more, right?
Yep, that's right.
All right, so now what about the GPUs? Why is that important to a modeling designer?
Yeah, we love GPUs. Designers are multitaskers, so there are a few reasons having a solid GPU matters. Designers not only model, but also render and present design models with realistic looking surface materials. We often work on dual displays, which rely on GPU for fast refresh rates and fluid navigation.
So what type of GPUs are we talking about for that type of work?
Yeah, good question. We use NVIDIA RTX professional GPUs for maximum performance and reliability. Personally, I use an NVIDIA RTX A5500 in my Dell Precision 7770, and it gives me the performance to model and visualize anything I want to quickly, even in a mobile device.
So that would do it in my opinion. Professional graphics hardware with plenty of VRAM gives designers not just faster 3D navigation and smoother toggling between modeling, but also the ability to interact with their models photorealistically.
Yeah, that's right. VRAM is, like you said, is really important in professional grade GPUs.
And I assume it's been good for you and your team.
Yeah, it has. In fact, 80% of our staff use real-time rendering almost daily in how they visualize the projects that they're designing and also communicate those designs to our client. So the real-time rendering software that we use works really well with NVIDIA professional graphics cards and its onboard DLSS.
Okay, well, that's awesome.
Yeah, in fact, the DLSS is actually using AI to upscale the resolution to be more responsive and productive and produce better graphics on the screen.
That's another reason to love AI. So we've talked about CPU and GPU, but let's talk about memory because it takes a lot of memory to handle this kind of data. But also people are more collaborative now.
Yeah, that's right, Kristen. On average, designers link other models to help coordinate and leverage multiple views to model. They're deploying operations that rely heavily on system memory. So 32 gigabytes of RAM is the absolute minimum in what we do, and many users need more, especially considering the increased model size and complexity we're seeing.
Yeah, and with more memory comes more storage. So what would you recommend, a terabyte, or should they go with more?
Well, 1 terabyte of SSD might not be enough. It's pretty common to have multiple versions of software on a single machine, and then the extreme file size that gets cached locally makes a 2 terabyte a good way to go.
All right, so you've said you've worked with a lot of Dell hardware and workstations. Do you have any recommendations for a designer?
Sure. Yeah, I'd say if you're a designer and acclimating to this process of modeling more, then you'd want a workstation with power. And I'd say a fixed station, if you're looking at one of those, the best thing to consider is a 3660 or a 5000 series, since they're able to handle the highest levels of complexity and largest data sets.
Yeah, so, but what about that user that goes from the office to an on-site trailer and then out into the field?
Sure, I would suggest a Precision 5000 series mobile workstation for those wanting something thin and light, and then a 7000 series mobile workstation if you need desktop level performance that would support productivity from anywhere without reducing complexity. And then from there, it's the monitor size. Do you want a 14-inch up to 17-inch?
All right, well, Dan, I feel like you just gave us all a crash course in Model More 101. So thanks for stopping by and sharing that with us.
Yeah, glad to be here. My pleasure. Appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah. All right, so Dan gave us some great insight, not only into what it takes to model more, but the Dell workstations like the Precision 3660 Tower and the 5000 and 7000 series mobile workstations that can help you do it all. But while Model More is new to the industry, computational design is even newer. To illustrate how a new generation of architects are utilizing coding skills, BIM, and Dell workstations to implement their designs, I caught up with Dana DeFilippi, co-leader of computational design at Smith Group earlier this week. So let's take a look. Hey Dana, welcome to It's Live.
Hey Kristen, great to be here.
All right, so Dana, I think it's fair to say that your career path has been pretty cool. From your days as a student to working in the industry, to creating design technology tutorials. I'm interested to know more about that. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Absolutely, it has been an interesting path. I started off at Virginia Tech and got an internship where they taught me Revit, super lucky for that. Graduated with an interior and industrial design degree and quickly pushed into the technology side of things and mostly base building architecture.
All right, so that technology, it really became your niche, right?
Absolutely, with Revit in particular. I started consulting with different firms along the East Coast and got a good familiarity with how the industry uses Revit and how to get the most out of our software.
For those of us who might not be really familiar with Revit software, can you kind of give us a quick synopsis of what it's used for?
Absolutely. BIM is a process, building information modeling, and Revit is a software tool that allows us to create those models. Architects like Dan, engineers, designers, and contractors use it to 3D model structures from concept to construction. It allows for multiple users to collaborate on work on one project, which we call work sharing.
Okay, so from there you moved to Dynamo, which is an open source extension of Revit, right?
It is, and that's how I ended up at Smith Group working in the digital delivery department. Now I create complex workflows, usually with the assistance of Dynamo. Lets me to create custom computational design and automation processes, really just allowing the user to become much more efficient with what they do. I also have a library of Revit and Dynamo tutorials on my YouTube channel, Dynamo BIM.
I love your YouTube channel name. Okay, so you mentioned working for Smith Group. I did do a little digging and I learned it is one of the largest architecture, engineering, and planning firms in the US, going back all the way to 1853. That's amazing. So what kind of projects do you specialize in?
As a company, we specialize in healthcare, higher education, science and technology, and workplace sectors. I'm challenged day to day to take a bigger problem and find solutions using computational design.
Okay, so give me an example of finding a solution for one of those bigger problems.
Well, we're currently working on a giant project for UC Davis Hospital, and the workloads are absolutely huge. We've had to break down some of our workflows so that they're easier for us to digest. And really, it's just allowing the computer or some of our workflows to take in a little bit less data, breaking it up by floor or different sectors of the building rather than the entire building data.
Okay, so, and just to be clear, using BIM doesn't mean that the computer is actually taking the work out of an architect or designer's hands. It seems like it gives you really more creative freedom.
Absolutely. It allows for us to solve problems and requires our logic and decision-making process. For example, in an operating room, you're always going to have an operating table. Those are the types of things you can automate to free yourself up.
Okay. So Dana, I think it's fair to say that based on your work and specific focus on modern BIM processes, you kind of represent this new generation of professionals.
Yeah, I think years ago, it would have been more of a CAD manager role. Essentially, we saw a shift where everyone went from 2D to 3D, and really this BIM mentality, building information modeling, as I said before. So now I think we're on that cusp of really digesting the I in BIM, the information, and doing something with all of that data. But today, of course, we're not just working with line styles, we're working with walls and other building components. So we have to make sure that the data behind everything is good. Garbage in, garbage out.
So how has this migration changed the tools that end users leverage?
That second wave would definitely be the use of data and AI to enhance those builds. We're moving not just to 3D, but with 3D and information and automation.
Okay, so at Dell, we call users like you power users. They're people who are production modelers on a totally different level. They're working on large projects that want stuff like automation. So with that in mind, tell us about your workstation.
Sure, my setup is perfect for me and the type of work that I do. Right now, I'm using a Precision 5760 because I love its creative, thin, and light design. I use it not just for my design work, but also to make video content on YouTube. A lot of my peers use up to a 7,000 level.
All right, so you're using it for sort of two different types of creative work. And you said a lot of your peers have kind of up-leveled to the Precision 7000 series, is that right?
They did, but not because the 5000 series can't do what a designer in this industry needs to do. It is a matter of finding the right device that works for your individual needs.
Yeah. And I can see as a designer and a content creator why you would really gravitate to the 5760 or the 7000. You know, they both come VR and AR ready. The 5760 actually comes with 6 gigs of NVIDIA graphics, while the 7000 includes NVIDIA RTX A5000 graphics with 16 gigs of memory. So really with either option, you're getting the performance you need.
100%. My 5760 is perfect for the different types of work I do on it. Its VR and AR capabilities are perfect for BIM processes. And of course, having graphics like that are great for modeling in 3D, but also creating and editing video content, which I've gotten quite used to doing.
Yeah, I mean, and I would say probably both of those types of creative work require some power. And the 5760 or the 7000 series definitely has power. You know, we have 12th gen Intel Core and Xeon processors. The 5760 comes with 64 gigs of memory, while the 7000 series comes with up to 128 gigs. Plus the storage on them, massive. I mean, you can get up to 8 terabytes of storage with RAID options on the 5760. And then with the 7000 series, you can get up to 10 terabytes of high-speed PCIe storage. So I'm going to say with either option, you're really going to get the power you need.
Absolutely. I mean, my 5760 can really handle just about anything I throw at it, whether 3D modeling or editing video. Its processors, memory, and storage give me everything I need for working with large data files and rendering like those.
Yeah, so Dana, I'm not really grasping at straws when I say you need a way to share all that data efficiently, and both your 5760 and the Precision 7000 can do that easily. The 5760 comes with 4 built-in Type-C Thunderbolt ports, so it has super fast data transfers, which can also be found on the 7000 series.
Having those avenues for transferring that data quickly keeps my workflow efficient without bottlenecks for sure.
So you said you like your 5760 in part because of its design. Tell me a little bit about it.
I think that's really what drew me to it first. As a designer, before I saw all of its technical specs we were just talking about. It looks sleek and it's super comfortable to work on. Plus, it was designed to be light.
Yeah, it is really super light and pretty. And speaking of comfort, there's this great 17-inch HDR 400 Infinity Edge display with a 16:10 aspect ratio.
Portability and visuals are so important to me. Because of its design, I can easily take it with me if I'm on the go without feeling weighted down. And I can say my designs in stunning clarity with plenty of room on the screen to multitask when I need to.
It also comes in a 14-inch and 15-inch options as well. While the 7000 series is really, it's 15-inch and 17-inch options. So now with all that power you talked about probably requires quite a bit of cooling. And the Precision 5760 and 7000 series really have no shortage of that.
Without a doubt, Kristen.
Yeah, I mean, what we're talking about here, right, is internal designs from dual output fans and a vapor chamber to hidden exhaust venting through the hinge, which keeps the system running cool and quiet.
Which is what makes my Precision 5760 such a workhorse. I deal a lot with intense data-heavy workloads, so its advanced thermal design helps keep things cool. It's great to have when I'm 3D modeling or even editing and uploading my tutorial videos to my different social channels.
Yeah, Dell's thermal designs are really pushing the boundaries of cooling in the industry. So, all right, with all that being said, Dana, I want to thank you for joining us today. We will definitely be out there looking for you on YouTube to learn more.
My pleasure. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button.
All right, it's safe to say that Dana is pretty impressive. I love seeing the next generation of professionals thrive with our products. Now, Dana spends her time designing in the office, but what about those users that are out working in the field? Let me throw it back to Joe so he can take a closer, slightly more muddy look at our rugged devices.
All right, thank you, Kristen. In the world of construction, it's incredibly important for certain users to extend their planning processes from the office to the job site. And to do that safely and effectively, you can't just use any old laptop or tablet. Now, here to tell us more is Tyler Campbell, co-host of the Construction Brothers podcast. Welcome, Tyler.
How's it going, Joe? Great talking to you.
All right, now you've been working with Dell for about a year now to help us tell the rugged story. And I'm going to ask you to tell a little bit about your background, but first I want to say I believe no disrespect to Eddie, but we've got the better brother from the podcast, right?
Oh, definitely the better looking brother for sure.
Okay.
That's my, that's just me though.
Good.
So yeah, my brother and I, we're sixth generation builders though, and I started in our family business about 10 years ago, working with Eddie. And last year I split off and I started Story Builder, and now I'm helping Dell out tell the stories out on the job site. But as you mentioned, we host Construction Brothers podcast, and we explore ideas and all things related to the construction industry.
That's great, and very entertaining podcast, even for non-construction people like me. So let's talk about PPE. And personal protection equipment is very important in a construction environment. The construction site can be dangerous, especially if you're not careful. Why they usually don't let me on site. But safety is important not just from a physical perspective, but also for the technology that you're using. Those same dangers can apply to the tech, right? But I think what you found is that some organizations don't take that same kind of precautionary care with their tech, do they?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Safety is the number one thing on a job site, right? We use PPE, like you said. We wear hard hats and steel-toed boots and gloves, everything. And why are we not taking the same approach with our tablets or with our devices? We have to. So it's important to invest in technology that matches those safety precautions. And, Rugged's been amazing. It's an amazing solution for that.
And how do you know this? Not just a theory, I think.
Oh, no, it's not just a theory. Yeah, I get to beat these things up on the job site, man. It's so much fun. I get to put it to the test, take the devices out to the job site and, dunk it in water, chuck it in some mud, rinse it off with a hose, and just see if it's still running afterwards. And it's a good job. It's a lot of fun.
It beats working, right?
Oh yeah.
And it's not just mud, right? It is Georgia clay that I've seen you, right?
Yeah, that stuff is next level. It's nasty, sticky, and gets on everything and gets into everything. Just brutal. So I brought a video with me though, if you'd like to take a look.
Yeah, for sure. Let's take a look.
Let's see what we can do.
Sure. How? You're kidding me.
You didn't even pretend to just accidentally drop it. You just threw it right in, didn't you?
Yeah, I was tempted to just spike it in there like a football, but I figured that wouldn't be very kind. We'll at least give it a little bit of a chance, right?
Yeah.
The nice thing is too is that you pull it out of the mud, and since it's glove touch ready on the touchscreen, you can just wipe it off and just keep going, which is super handy in a lot of different environments.
And allows you to stay safe. So now let's think about another common issue on the job site: drywall dust.
Yeah, that stuff is the worst. Doing drywall work as a kid, man, I'll never go back. So it's awful. It gets everywhere. You don't want that debris getting under the keys too, because it makes them like sticky and stuff. And so it gets into a normal device and just breaks it down. So with a rugged, it can hold up to the beating. So yeah, rugged devices like the 5430 and the 7330, they were designed with that sort of environment in mind. The 5330 is IP53 rated, which it's got a lot of protection against dust and dirt, kind of like the drywall dust we were talking about, and water getting where it shouldn't. But the 7330, which is what you saw me throw into the mud, has an IP65 rating for protection against dust, dirt, and water. But also it's able to withstand temperatures that range from -20 degrees Fahrenheit to -40 or 145 degrees Fahrenheit, and drops from up to 6 feet too. So we try to test that as best we can.
Yeah, it often feels like 145 degrees here in Austin, Texas, but it doesn't quite get there. But I know, like you said, they're both built to withstand really tough conditions.
Yeah. So, both were made, durable, built to last chassis. They've gone under extensive military grade testing, to withstand real world conditions. And it shows. It really does.
All right, now Tyler, you brought up some of the rugged latitude specs, but luckily we have it here on It's Live. We have a resident product spec genius named Kristen Hoover. All right, what do you think, Kristen? Are you ready up for a round of speeds and feeds on the Latitude Rugged 5430?
Yeah, like I'm a book of speeds and feeds, so I'm always up for a round of speeds and feeds. So let's go ahead and put 60 seconds on the clock. All right, so this is the 5430 Rugged. It's the lightest, most powerful 5G capable 14-inch semi-rugged laptop. So like Tyler mentioned, it's temperature tested from -20 to 145 degrees and drop tested from up to 3 feet. So IP53 rated for a high degree of protection against dust, dirt, and water ingress. These use 11th gen Tiger Lake quad core i5 or i7 processors. The weight starts at about 4 and I would say 3.5 pounds or right under 2 kilos. Joe likes to say it weighs less than a 6-pack. So, it also has this 14-inch screen, so 35 centimeters for our friends in EMEA. It has the glove touch capability and up to 1100 nits of brightness for direct sunlight viewability. All right, so it features Corning Gorilla Glass and then all the ports. I'm gonna have to stop there, Joe. I'm running out of time, but all the ports.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, there are a lot of ports. I remember that on those. So good work, great job. Now, back, Tyler, you mentioned the 7330 can withstand a drop of up to 6 feet. And I believe you have drop tested some rugged models to prove it, right?
Well, I mean, I did chuck it up in the air, and I think that was over 6 feet. So I'm trying to get him to, let me throw it out of an airplane to see what will happen next. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, it's really a specification, not a challenge, I would say. So.
Kristen needs to get that laptop a little bit more dirty next time, right? It can handle it.
Good call. We will. And now, so you've talked to a lot of people in the field that don't want to use devices at all, right?
Yeah, so a lot of them think it's a waste of money because they're worried that it's going to break. So what they do is they print large format documents or even 11 by 17 drawings for shop. And every time you print something like that, it's not free, all right? So and it's not very sustainable. So from an environmental standpoint, this is a problem. So one print set, let's just talk about cost, could cost you anywhere from $600 to $700, depending on the type of job, right? So that's half the cost of a rugged device in most cases. So it's something to think about for sure.
Wow, maybe we should get in the printing, the job plan printing business. That sounds good there. But so now also, so rugged doesn't necessarily these rugged laptops don't mean you have to sacrifice a reduction in power on these devices. Is that correct?
No, not at all. We throw it out on the job site and we test it and stuff, but also we, put different types of software on there and test it out too. And, when you're extending this tech into the field, you don't want it to cause more frustration, right? You don't want to slow down your superintendent or your project manager or anybody out in the field, right? So it's got to be easy and natural. It's got to have it's got to flow. It can't get stuck. And that's kind of where the discrete GPU comes in. We found that, users are still able to access these models and any other files at any time by having this power at their hands or in their hands.
Okay. We talked earlier about physical safety on the job site. Let's maybe talk about digital safety. How are Dell rugged devices ensuring the security of these kind of data heavy sharing workflows?
Yeah, so the rugged systems, they offer encryption and authentication, just including optional touch fingerprint readers, which is so cool, and malware prevention from a single source just right out of the box. And you have Dell data protection and protected workspace. Your data is safe across all of the different endpoints, including external media and self-encrypting devices and drives and public cloud storage.
And not to mention manageability features that these have, including the flexible kind of automated BIOS and system configuration tools that we offer through the free Dell Client Command Suite, right?
Correct.
All right, so we took a closer look at the 5430 to see not only what makes it tough outside, but also inside. So now let's take a look at what makes the 7330 rugged extreme a perfect extension for in-the-field technology. So let's bring Kristen back for another round of speeds and feeds. Ready, Kristen?
All right, I'm ready to do it. Okay, 60 seconds on the clock. So this is the 7330. It's our smallest 5G capable 13-inch fully rugged laptop. It's able to withstand temperatures just like the 5430 of negative 20 degrees all the way up to 145 degrees Fahrenheit. They also use the same Intel 11th Gen Tiger Lake quad-core i5 or i7 processors. This starts at 5.1 pounds or 2.3 kilos. You'll see it has a stylish handle here, so you can carry it with your man purse, Joe. It also has a 13-inch or 33.8 centimeter 1400 nit outdoor viewable screen. So it's our brightest screen. Like the 5430, you can use the touch functionality with your gloves, and it's Gorilla Glass 5. Same camera options as the 5430, has this large touchpad on it. You also have front firing sprinklers, same dual hot swappable batteries. And then I'll just end with, it has tons of ports. All right, back
Kristen,
to you.
As always, I'm impressed with your ability to get through all that. And again, everybody loves ports.
Yep.
All right. All right. So thank you, Tyler. It was great having you on, and love the podcast that you and your brother do. So and love to see these videos and what you're able to do with our products. So not only entertaining, highlighting some world-class industry-first design ingenuity.
Anytime, Joe. Yeah, the rugged devices are really game changers for the construction industry. Workers can go from the office to the trailer to the field without missing a beat, or worrying about their tech on site. So it's a huge relief, and I'm happy I was able to talk more about the line of Dell rugged latitudes today.
Thanks, Tyler. Now, there's so much more to the world of construction than meets the eye. It's exciting to see how Dell is rising to the challenge.
I totally agree. From more powerful processing workstations and evolutions in 3D modeling to the new generations bringing fresh ideas and processes to the industry. And of course, the Dell rugged devices that keep workers happy with tech that doesn't take the job lightly.
And thank you to Ken for showing us all the ways technology has changed across the construction industry and where it may be headed in the future.
All right. Yeah, and I want to say thank you to Dan, Dana, and Tyler for sharing their experiences and helping us understand the latest challenges facing end users in the office and at the job site.
All right, and as always, a big thanks to you, Kristen, for joining me for another fun and informative episode of It's Live.
Well, I would not miss it for the world, and thanks for testing all of my product knowledge today. We will see you on the next episode of It's Live. We'll be sending out a survey at the end of this. Please tell us what you think, and we'll send you a little gift.
May or may not be a mug.
Until they all hear the beat. Spotlight, this is our night. Let the rhythm take